Hey everyone, it's Whitney, and welcome back to an episode of Spastic Chatter. If you're new here, Spastic Chatter is a platform meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I get together with individuals with CP, like myself, to have an uncensored chat, if you will, about what it's like living with this type of disability. And for this episode, I have with me Etha, and she is a creative soul. She's a poet and a photographer and a bunch of other things. So I will let Etha introduce herself and then we'll get on to the conversation. So take it away, Etha.
Hi, my name is Etha Walters, and I am a poet. I'm a Jane of all things creative. I have cerebral palsy. I'm a spastic quadriplegic, and I'm a wheelchair user.
Awesome. So the first thing I want to talk about is take me through your creative process. How do you how do you how do you come up with all your creativity depending on what project you're working on?
My poetry is written by experience. Sometimes if I'm going through something and I don't want to I don't want people to know exactly what it is I'm going through, I might create a story around it, like a metaphor, or just kind of work. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. But let me turn this sound off. There we go. Sorry about that. Anyway, it if I'm going through something where it's personal and too sensitive to share publicly, I'll create a story in place of it that will express the same emotions but still keep my privacy secure, if that makes sense. And video, I just get inspired to do things. I I like to share my experiences as someone with a disability because um, we're so underrepresented in the media, I think.
Yeah.
And I feel my being older, I'm 56. I'm part of Gen X.
You were but okay, I don't know if it's a ceremony thing, but we were blessed with looking way younger than what we are because I'm 34 and I look like I'm in my teens and you do not look like you're like you're in your
I
50s.
don't look 56.
No, you do not look 56. I have
Yeah, I'm 56, and I've got 3 kids and 9 grandchildren.
oh you gotta oh like I would say hospital, but you're not. Hopefully they don't all live with you.
It was so I like to share my experiences, especially with the younger generation that's blindly trying to figure things out. And if I can help them go through the things that I've already been through, that would be a real blessing.
Awesome. So when you're sharing your stuff online, since we just talked about your Generation X and all, and now everything is all social media related, in TikTok, Instagram, and all that. Um, did it take you some time to switch over to that kind of to that kind of a. You get what I'm saying?
Um, not for me. I think having a disability gave me an advantage to that. I mean, when I was first learning how to use computers and stuff like that, it was a challenge, but like once once you get an understanding of it, um, I think my disability gave me an advantage. We're always trying to innovate and streamline the things that we do to make it easier. And being online has helped me with paying my bills, grocery shopping, and by the time that COVID happened, I'm like, well, I've got the hang of this. I know how to do this. And like all the able bodied people were freaking out. Oh my gosh, can't leave the house. What are we going to do?
Speaking of me, go ahead.
And we already knew what we were doing, right? We had already found TikTok and creating, and it just I I met so many amazing people there, and they were so accepting of my disability. You got to get in the right group of things, and I learned that there was a hashtag disability TikTok, and I was like, yeah, this is how I can find my people. So,
There's so much I want to unpack there. Okay, so Spastic Chatter started because of COVID. Because I, speaking about being creative, I'm gonna share a little bit about my creative process and like what got me started. Um, so like I said, Spastic Chatter started because of COVID and because I was bored during COVID because there was nothing to do. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna start a podcast and feature those in the Cerebral Palsy community. And it just like took took off and like here I am 100 and so episodes later. Yes, I took a year break a year off because there is a downside to social media. It can become overwhelming. But and then that leads me that kind of segues into the other thing that I wanted to like bring up from what you're talking about is how accepting TikTok is when you're like posting videos for like people with disabilities. The response I get from my TikTok videos has been nothing but like acceptance and like that's where I like shine the most. But and we've experienced and I've talked about this with you before because we went live together on Instagram. When you go live, it's a whole different ballgame. There's people that come out of the woodworks, and that's where I experience the most hate is
that's
live.
that's where the trolls hit you,
Yes, how
and
do you deal with that?
because the trolls are there because it it goes out of your normal algorithm. So all of your usual people that follow you, you've also got people outside of that, and a lot of these trolls come in, and I am learning not to let. I had somebody leave a comment on my last video on Instagram saying that I looked and I was
You looked what?
I looked and sounded like I was having a stroke.
Oh yeah.
And so I wrote him back and I told him that his his trolling game was weak and he needed to work on it.
I get that all the time.
He wrote me back and he says, okay, I'm going to follow you. So
Yeah.
I'm a dedicated hater.
That's funny. Like I've been trying to go live more to get used to it because like I like the social interaction and right now I don't want to leave my house. So I like this I like to be able to go live because there are like really cool people in lives that you can talk to, but then there's that one troll and they love to like because it's hard for me to talk. So they keep asking me if I'm okay, and I'll go, and then they like it's like go on after that, and I'm like, I finally like after like so many lives, I just like call them out now, and like I just like use it as content like for my other videos, like
Right.
and like yeah, so I I use their hate as creativity, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You can't let it's not, it feels personal, especially when they're making fun of the way you look or the way you speak. But it's not personal. Most of these people either haven't had exposure, enough exposure to disabled people to really like get used to it. It's strange to them and they don't know how to act. Some of them just like being mean. It, it's
Yeah.
it's fun for them, but it doesn't have anything to do with us. And you just gotta, if you can block them, block them. I personally like to spar with them every now and then.
You're like you're kinda like me now. I'm getting a tougher skin like I know that you know this, but my viewers might not know this. I've been going through my own mental health journey. So I think that was playing into the fact that I was letting it get to me, but now I'm getting in like now I'm getting back to the old Wendy where I really where I'm like I said, I'm using their hate as creativity and like if you want to come at me, but yeah, but you're gonna be put on blast.
It's tough because even though I blew that guy off, it's still in the back of my mind.
Yes.
Maybe I need to speak faster. Maybe I need to move faster. But I have cerebral palsy. It's not. That's not going to change. You know, I can only. You can't edit live video.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, you know, people are just going to have to love me for who I am. And if they can't, they'll have to go watch something else.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the way that disability is represented in the media plays a whole a huge factor in people's perception of disability right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we need all of the positive influencers we can get. So I feel like, you know, you have to take care of yourself. Yeah, you have to take care of your own well-being. But that said, I don't feel like I could give up. You know, I don't feel like, you know, if I think if I got into a room where I was pelted by a bunch of mean comments coming from a bunch of different directions, I'm not sure how I would deal with that. But I would like to think that I would stand my ground and not leave. But psychologically, you know, you have to take care of yourself and maybe leave a situation and restart back. And that's one of the things I like about pre-recording, and I like the delete button because
Yes.
if you can block somebody out of your comment section while you're recording live, that's the ideal. I mean, and I think you can do that in TikTok, kick people out.
It takes, but when you do all that, it takes hand dexterity to do that. Like,
It does.
and I can do it, but it takes me like 10 minutes just to do one person. Like
I wonder if you can bring an extra moderator into the live so that they can delete the comments for you while you're recording.
that's a good suggestion. And then the other thing I wanted to like that comes to mind is that did you know that YouTube is the only app that I found that you can go live from your computer. Like all the other apps like TikTok, Instagram, you have to go live on your phone. And I use the streaming software because my boyfriend's a gamer, so he uses the streaming software, and I downloaded one. But there's an extreme lag um going using the streaming software, so it's not worth it. But I'm just bringing that up because accessibility matters. There should be an option. You can check your TikTok and your Instagram on your computer. Why can't you go live from your computer? You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I haven't tried to do any of those. I pay for high speed internet because I'm on.
Oh, I have high speed internet. It's just that there's a lot that like there's a lag. There's just a lag from the streaming software to the
Yeah. Yeah, I experience that sometimes on my phone too. So
yeah.
it's a pain, but um, I think I think we'll figure it all out.
Yeah. And speaking, and just a fair warning for those watching. I know that Etha, you don't care because we've talked about this millions of times. It's all over your social media. Speaking of having the um being represented in the media in a positive way, how where our 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 president doesn't even represent disability in a positive and in a positive light right now, and I think that influences everyone else. You know what I mean?
When the president made comments about the FAA when the plane crash happened, that he blamed it on people with disabilities working for the FAA, which is totally and completely untrue. It was untrue. But he insinuated that we aren't smart enough to do those kind of jobs. And he said that like Stephen Hawking never existed, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
He
Exactly.
was one of the smartest people on the planet.
I'm breaking this up because that just it kind of plays into the acceptance of like social media. Is like how can we expect people to accept us on social media our accept our community on social media when our own president clearly does not show any kind of acceptance.
it just makes our presence all the more important.
Exactly.
It makes representing all the more important.
Exactly.
And we can't just go away because they might want us to.
Exactly.
And as a 56-year-old who's already been through the ushering in of the ADA and all of that, I mean, a group of us climbed up the steps of the Capitol to get equal rights for us, and we cannot go backwards. We will not go backwards. And
I was born in 1990, so I was born the year the law was enacted. So I don't know any different, and I'm kind of scared they were regressing. And
we've come way too far. It is a scary time, especially when they're threatening to cut off this program and that program and the other program, and you don't know if they're going to dip into Social Security. It's a scary time, and that's one of the things that I'm keeping my eye on, and it's got me worried. But I just keep the faith. I'm just trying to keep the faith that that our lawmakers are going to uphold the law, and Congress is going to step up and not let him get away with so much.
yeah, and then I'm gonna tie this back to creativeness. If we have to, we can use our social media platforms to uh, to bring in some some income and to get monetized. But there's
That's that's what I'm experience. That's what I'm experimenting with now. I have some plans in the making. I'm developing a podcast called Disability Uncomplicated, and I plan to launch that this year, hopefully within the next month or so. And I it's important to diversify too. So, like, if you can write in a blog as well, you can monetize that as well.
yes, I've tried monetizing. Like I've dipped my toes into all of the fields to being honest, but it takes some really good effort to stick with it. Because it starts out really slow, and then but you can also like get sponsorships and things like that to help with your monetization. Uh,
I haven't learned all of that yet. So I know that sponsorships are possible. I know that AdSense on Google through YouTube is a good program. And you become eligible for that after you earn so many followers. And there's like the TikTok store. I haven't really explored all of that. And as far as keeping consistency, I think it's more important to post like every week than say every day. Every day might be a bit much because sometimes you've got 40 spoons and sometimes you only have 3.
Yeah, that's why I took a year off from doing Spastic Chatter, because I was doing it every week, and then I went from every week to every month. And now I just do a video when I feel like I just interview somebody when I feel like it. I'm not like I'm not like holding myself accountable for a set schedule. I'm just I'm just
I think I'm going to set my calendar for every other week, and I'm going to produce content when I'm feeling good. I'm going to produce as much as I can, and then I'll release it like every other week. So it'll be consistent and people will know when to expect it. And if I have bad days, then I know that that is already taken care of.
yes.
I'd like to say that I'll do something every week, but I'll have to. I plan on building some content in advance in order to do that. Right now, I'm still learning on how to do all of this, so we'll see what happens. It's going to be a process.
I think the only app where it may be good to post every day, or not like more frequently, is TikTok, because it's more I feel like TikTok is more like interactive, like
TikTok, you with TikTok, you have to post at least 3 videos a day to really start to gain followers and all of that. But after you get it going, you can let back. And luckily with TikTok, you don't have to, making 3 videos is like making like 2 15-second videos, just
yeah,
doing something silly, and then make a longer video doing something a little more towards your niche,
yeah,
I think. But I enjoyed TikTok. I get to try on different hats and be different people and show different sides of myself. I enjoy that a lot. It's a good place to let off my frustrations.
yeah. So I just got the 10-minute mark. Speaking of uh speaking of our creative process, I actually don't pay. I do all my recording for my podcast on Zoom, and I don't pay for it. So we only get 40 minutes to meet. So um so that's just a little tidbit for those watching if you're curious, and for you, Etha, when you start your own podcast, which you already knew this, because we've already been talking for like a long time. So like outside of this, so we that's come up in conversation. But Etha, the last question I like to ask my guests is if they have any advice for those watching. So what's some life advice that you could give others watching this episode?
Um, for those who have acquired a new disability and you're just learning to navigate, I want to give you encouragement to hang in there. And it's a whole new world. New things are going to open up for you. They say, people will treat you like it's a tragedy to get a disability, but the real tragedy is believing your life is over when you get one.
Mhm.
And that's the core belief of my podcast. And that's the biggest thing that I want people to know is that despite having a disability, you have a life to live. And it's just part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Etha. for joining me, and I really enjoyed talking with you and getting to know about your creative process and just having a little girl talk, if you
Y-
will.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
So,
You'll have to come on my podcast.
oh, totally, totally. For those of you watching, if you want to be on an episode of Spastic Chatter, just comment wherever you see this video, and I would love to have all of you. But uh, check back frequently for more episodes. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.